Hi, my name is Zubin, and you're watching Leadership in HR. Today we have with us Jagmohan Singh. I don't want to really introduce him too much because there's so much to know about him. So I would rather like him to introduce himself. So please welcome Jagmohan Singh. Hi, Jagmohan.
Hello Zubin, and greetings.
It's really nice to have you here, and I think there's so much to learn from you today.
Thank you very much for having me here. Glad to be here, and welcome to Malaysia.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm enjoying Kuala Lumpur right now. So let me start off with this question about you. I think what's important for us to really know, you have such an interesting career, background, I would say interesting life that you've had. So please tell us something which we can learn from.
I'm still getting to know myself over the years, but yes, it has been a spectacular journey, this life. So from the corporate sector, moving to the humanitarian world, and coming back and pursuing my core purpose back here in Malaysia towards nation building. So I would say I'm still a humanitarian at heart, very much leaning towards human development, working with people around the world, initially in trying to alleviate sufferings and save lives, but now I see the focus is a lot more towards working with youth. Reason being is that previously when I was working with Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières, I found, looking at the crises around the world and conflicts, it was apparent to me that sometimes it's the wrong person at the right place at the right time. And if we want to rectify that, then it was best to work with the youth who are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. So that's how I came about finally getting into the university line and leading a life skills program here in Delos University, working with about 15 amazing individuals coming from very diverse backgrounds with very interesting profiles, leading the life skills development for youth in the university.
In the first part of your career, what did you do at that point in time?
Initially, I was very much in the corporate sector. In the prime of my life, being very ambitious, climbing the corporate ladder in the HR field. Then in 2004, tsunami hit Aceh. I decided to go and help. So that was the beginning of the time when I turned towards the humanitarian scope. When I went there and being exposed to the sheer amount of dead bodies and sufferings that people were having there, I came back from that mission a different man. I told myself now I have to change the direction in my life. Instead of always taking, I had to give back. And so I looked at the possibility of devoting 5 years of my life towards the humanitarian cause, and I looked at organizations like United Nations, Red Cross, but when I came across Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, I was very impressed with their values, how they ran the organization, their social mission ratio in terms of how they spend the money. And so I was very convinced that this is the organization for me. So I went and joined them. And for about 2 years plus, I was working in the field when they discovered my talent were most suited in the operations in the Hong Kong section. So I went there, and after some time, I was the HR director for MSF Hong Kong, and also the core executive member in the leadership team, leading strategic directions for the section in Hong Kong, while also being one of the 19 global human resources directors for MSF. And from there, I had initially told myself 5 years, but at the point of the 5th year, I felt that it was so fulfilling. The more you put in your work, the more lives you're saving, the more sufferings you're alleviating. So it was a no-brainer for me to continue another 5 years. So I decided to pursue for another 5 years, and it was also because of certain projects or certain initiatives that I had pushed for at the global platform will take some time to bear fruition. So that's why I stuck around for a while. And at the 10th year mark, then I decided to finally step out of the humanitarian sector and come back here and took about 1.5 years sabbatical leave, pursuing some of my own courses that I wanted to go for, like some charitable startups in my hometown. This included starting Feeding the Homeless program, working with youth, women empowerment, and so it was very fulfilling. But then came a point of time when I had to get serious and get a full-time job back in Malaysia, and I was very passionate towards nation building because the whole mentality in the country was shifting. Everyone was very excited towards making this nation a better place. So I did feel that the best answer would be to work with youth, which I had been working with youth in Sydney, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, and in Malaysia. And so that's where I decided to join Taylor's University. And I'm currently leading the life skills program over there, which is 2 modules. Interestingly though, why Taylor's University is the first institute in Malaysia to be given the approval by the Ministry of Higher Education in formally running these life skills programs, which is based on the emotional intelligence quadrants.
I think you would be the best person to answer my next question, because when you said your career started from the corporate sector, and then I think it was more of a life-changing experience that moved you towards humanitarian work. And now again, and if I look at what you're doing right now, is again, if I look at it technically, they're so different. So the question is why, and I feel you're a person who never stops learning, right? So you just keep learning and learning and learning. Why do you think it's so important to never stop learning?
I do feel it's important, and you have to always constantly reinvent yourself because of the changing times. And we are living in a time where the disruption has become a norm. Previously it was change is the only constant. Now disruption is the only constant. So with the whole 4th industrial revolution coming into the picture, you find that everything is, the lines are blurring between robotics and artificial intelligence and biology and digital world. They're all blurring, and this is causing rapid changes in every single field that you look at. So do we have the talent pool to face the challenges of not only tomorrow but today, because it's already at our doorstep? So if you are not constantly evolving, learning, unlearning, relearning, and so on, then you're going to find it very difficult to cope with the changing times that we have right now. If you look at any field, if you look at, for example, in the financial sector, or even the data analytical areas, you'll find that advanced algorithms is taking over everything. A lot of jobs is being taken over by advanced algorithms in the banking sector and so on. You take a look at the medical field, robotic surgeons and computer diagnostics. Now you have even genome mapping, Inspiron computers doing it for you in a fraction of time and cost. So it's changing the game everywhere. You look at legal side, you find that Ross, the supercomputer, has already trained Watson, the IBM computer, to do paralegal work, and it's more accurate than human beings. So even in this agricultural sector, now they're doing stem cell work at a molecular level to grow meat. You'll have your steak grown in a lab instead of raising the entire cattle and spending so much of land, grazing land, allocating it to doing that. Now you just grow it in the lab, and what's great about it is that they can do biohacking. They can go right down to the level of, for example, if you take peanuts, some people are allergic to it, they can go and remove the allergens from the peanuts. So you can have much more safe food. And the interesting thing is that University of Singularity in Silicon Valley, they talk about the 6 days of exponential growth. So everything previously which was linear and local in terms of growth has now become exponential and global. That's the difference now. What was dumb and disconnected is now wired and intelligent. So you find that things, when they go through a certain phase, when it hatches, it suddenly reaches a point when it goes into digitalization. So once it's digitized, then it goes through a deceptive growth period. Then suddenly it takes off on a disruptive tangent. That's when the steep growth happens. And after that, you will find that it goes through a dematerialization phase. That's when you find more and more things around us today are becoming dematerialized. A lot of things were externally previously. Now you have everything in your handphone. When I was growing up, I had to have separately everything. Your VCR player, your headphones, your Walkman, your watch. You have your TV, your computers, and everything. But now everything is rolled up into your
one device.
Multifunctional device, which is amazing because the handphones that we have now, the mobile phones, 30 years ago, the most advanced government in the world didn't have the computers which were as fast as the handphones that you have now. In fact, when NASA sent a man to the moon, the processing speed of the computers that they had at that time cannot match the mobile phones that we have right now. So what's going to happen moving forward in future? You'll move towards the dematerialization, and then you go through a demonetization stage. Demonetization happens when things are getting cheaper, but the quality is getting higher, things are getting smaller. This is according to the Moore's law. So you will find that in future, to your mobile phone, people would rather give it to you free. Because when you having the mobile phone, that you will definitely go online and buy stuff. Even if you don't buy things online, then at least the fact that you're using it is data for them. So data is the new oil, right? And they'd rather have you have that mobile phone for free. But in future, what's going to happen is that probably the mobile phone will disappear, and you will have perhaps an artificial intelligence embedded in you. So this is going to be like Iron Man's Jarvis. You're going to have your own Jarvis. It's already happening here. Nowadays, the things that we wear, the wearables, are all starting to talk to each other. And in future, you're going to have, through the nanotechnology, nanobots running in through your bloodstreams, regulating your cholesterol and so on. You're going to have Google already coming out with the contact lens that's connected to the internet. So the biology and digital worlds are blurring. And that's going to usher in very interesting times in future. That's when we go through the democratization stage. And so we are moving from an era of scarcity to abundance. So things are looking very interesting. In future, what's going to happen, according to great minds like Peter Diamandis, Ray Kurzweil, Gerd Leonhardt, these great futurist people in the world that they have great minds, and I consider these are the type of people, including people in University of Singularity, to be the world leaders. People like Elon Musk, Richard Branson, and all. They are causing so much of change in the world that it's not really the leaders that are sitting in G7. These are the real leaders who are doing things like, for example, what Elon Musk has done has caused changes of policies in the Middle East governments because of how he has moved the dependency away from oil and gas. So these, for me, are the real world leaders, and they are saying that in time to come, when you have everything else being taken care by artificial intelligence, by robotics, by automation, then what is going to be more valuable at that point of time are human skills. Skills which cannot be replicated. Yes, the artificial intelligence will be able to simulate, but they cannot replicate it. The artificial intelligence can scour all the knowledge in the world about philosophy, but it doesn't have the human skills to be able to go to that level on philosophy. So what's going to happen in future, the skills that you have, for example, your emotional intelligence, your self-awareness, your ability, your empathy in listening, in judgment, your problem solving, your innovation, your creativity, and all these things will be so valuable in future. Your ability to influence others, lead people as a leader, moving people towards a certain direction or idea, these are going to be very valuable in future. And so if you don't keep on cultivating yourself and having that sense of self-awareness, then you're going to probably lose out moving into the next phase.
Okay. since you've worked in an international organization, and have you seen, and we're talking about this aspect of learning, so never stop learning. Do you also see that organizations as a whole, I mean, of course, they're made up of people, but you have certain strategies, certain alignments. Do you see organizations also adapting to the regional cultures when they're operating in a different geography, for example?
Yes, they do, and that's vital, yeah, because the most important resource in any organization is human resource, and humans are very diverse, coming from different cultures. And it's very important to have a very good understanding of the contextual understanding of where you're operating. From my experiences, I've seen when I first joined Médecins Sans Frontières, I did find it to be quite Eurocentric. This was a time when I came into sitting one of the 19 global HR directors. I found myself to be the only Asian sitting there.
Okay.
And most of the other regions were being represented by Western minds. That's great because they bring a lot of richness to the platform, but then they seem to be lacking the contextual understanding.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I pushed for them to expand, to be more inclusive of the regions which were not being represented. So then it moved from HR 19 to HR 24. Started including South America, South Africa, more of Asians, and Middle East. So it became a bit more diverse.
Okay.
So yes, you have to be inclusive. That's the key word. More and more in future, you will find that when you have platforms and tools available for you to have meetings in the virtual world, in the augmented world, you'll be leading working groups, people coming from diverse regions, and how you're going to lead them while having an understanding of the culture where they come from and how they operate, the kind of norms that they have. So that will be very useful when you lead teams. I was following the High Fidelity is a company in Silicon Valley led by Philip Rosedale. So recently, about last month, Philip Rosedale held a virtual reality conference, sort of like fireside chat with Peter Diamandis from also in Silicon Valley. It was very interesting, although they were hundreds of miles away from each other. But because of the platform that was available, they were chatting with each other, and it was amazing to witness that. The technology that is coming in and making things possible. So yes, in future you're definitely going to lead groups of people coming from different backgrounds. From my experiences, I also had to lead people coming from different nationalities. So you have to adjust. You have to be a situational leader in how you lead people. I found that certain individuals, you'll have to probably be more on the guidance mode in trying to help them, because they may come back to you at every step of the way. But certain other individuals, you just give them the framework and tell them what budgets or resources are available to them, the timelines, the deliverables that you need from them, and off they go, and they'll tell you, how do you want me to do this? And you tell them that I challenge you in terms of coming to me with a couple of proposals, and we take it from there. And that really gets them very excited, because you give them that amount of empowerment. But if you tried that same leadership practice with a different individual, it may not go down well. So you have to be very situational. Looking at the different cultures and contexts.
Let me come to this final section of our discussion then. And I feel there are so many different points that you've touched upon when we are discussing the theme of Never Stop Learning, but also from the experiences that you've had. So this goes for our viewers, our audience who are watching this. What would be 2 or maybe 3 suggestions that you would give to all of us, which would help us to stay on the learning curve all the time?
Right. You must know the space that you are operating in, including the stakeholders that you are engaging. I was very naive the first HR conference that I went to London. I thought I had all the data to support me, and data doesn't lie, so they have to agree to what I had to present to them. But then I found out the hard way that decisions are actually made a few days earlier in a pub or a week earlier by the corridors or by the coffee machines, and so I lacked that understanding. So yeah, in how you manage stakeholders and how you engage them, how you understand your allies, and how you try to gather more people to represent your views or opinions in the boardroom, having already the conceptual buy-in from key players. That's important,
right?
Instead of just going there and trying to rely purely on data. The other thing that I would say is, from my journey, you need to also be very self-aware of yourself. You need to constantly be in tune with who you are and try to find the core purpose that's within you. I believe that every human being is unique. We have about more than 7 billion people, and none of us have the same fingerprint, right? And so we are all unique. And I believe that locked inside every individual is the secret, the seed, the core purpose that they've been born to be successful, and that's really key for them to fulfill their existence as human beings. And as a good HR leader, you can try to provide the best environment for them to unlock their true potential, to flourish and operate at an optimum level. I do believe that just like a seed, the seed has the creative potential of being successful into becoming a tree. The egg of an eagle, the potential is in the egg for an eagle to be soaring high in the sky. So likewise, inside every human being, the potential to be successful is locked inside them. Now, what's the definition of success? The definition of success is very simple. It's actually the fulfillment and the completion of the original intent of why you were born in this world.
Yeah.
It's for you to find that and try to work towards it. And if you fulfill it, then you're successful. Success is not about the big fancy cars that you drive, or the house that you own by the lake, or the bank balance that you have, the number of friends, the accolades that you receive, or the plaques on your wall and the titles that you get. That is not success. Success is basically the completion and the fulfillment of the original intent or purpose of why you were born, and completing it before you die. It's as simple as that. And we should find that inside of us, the true potential within us, and try to unlock the wisdom that is there. It is very sad and tragic, I would say, if you're successful for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
We have had many people in the past who were successful for the wrong reasons. Their existence was a painful experience for people around them. Right. Hitler was successful, Idi Amin was successful, and so many other people that came to this world. But then there are other type of people who are significant while being successful, significant to the people around them. So these are people like Mother Teresa, people like Nelson Mandela, people like Abraham Lincoln. And it takes a lot of courage to be a leader, to be able to stick to your vision and pursue that passion, and sometimes these people were putting their life on the line to pursue their passion. And it's not that they were going out and recruiting followers. When you're so set on pursuing your passion, the moment will come when you turn around and you see people following you.
Yeah.
So people choose to follow you, and they are willing even to put their life on the line and tell you, no, you don't put your life on the line. You are important for us, for the sustainability of this goal. And they would rather put their lives on the line. They'll do that for a good leader.
Right.
And it takes a lot of courage to do that. Like when Abraham Lincoln, when he made that statement that we should abolish slavery, it's not good. He said it at a time when the entire federation, the people in the federation had slaves, all his family and relatives had slaves. To say something which was against the norm at that time takes a lot of courage. Yeah. So what I would advise people is that you have that passion inside of you. You have that potential inside of you. So search for it, unlock it. If you have to spend time with the entity called God, or if you have to spend time, if you believe in the law of nature or any other form to help you find that, do it. And once you unlock that potential within you, then pursue that passionately, and hopefully you'll be successful in fulfilling it. Thank you.
Okay, great, Jagmohan. That was really good advice for all of us. And I would really like to thank you for being part of this series for people to learn from various leaders in various functions. But primarily, we're looking at human resources, and I think you've given us a lot of great ideas. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zubin.
Yeah.